Hey, Tom here, FlipAnything USA. So on my channel, I share how I made my fortune in real estate, investing since I was 19 years old. And today I'm going to show you a land flip that I did, one of the easiest ones that I ever did, actually, and how you can do the same thing too. Hey, before we get into that video, as a personal favor to me, I appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Helps the channel, gives me some feedback as to whether or not you like the content or not. But please pound that subscribe button, pound that like button. Thank you. We're going to continue looking at some of my old clips today. And in this first clip, I'm going to show you how I made some really fast cash. And then later, I'm going to tell you how you can consistently do the same thing just like I have.
So I've told you about how once in a while you'll run into like some big opportunities. You can always consistently make money on deals, whether it's cars, bikes, whatever the hell you can afford to buy and resell. Of course, ultimately, you want to get to real estate, and that's primarily all that I do now. But you can see this stretch of sidewalk here. I was walking my kids down this sidewalk about 10 years ago, and I'm coming along, and what do you think happened? I see that the sidewalk ended. It ended right here. And now that doesn't mean anything to most people. But to me, because the sidewalk picked up again down the road, I realized there's a lot here. There's a vacant lot here. So I looked up the owner from the property appraisal records, contacted him, said, hey, you want to sell this lot? He said, I sure do. We made a deal. I bought it for $40,000. I think I gave him $20,000 down. I immediately rezoned it for multifamily, which was easy to do because it's adjacent to multifamily properties. But even if I didn't rezone it, it was easily worth more than that to me. It's a nice property, it's a nice lot, this is a good area. But I rezoned it. As soon as I put a for sale sign on it, I wrote multifamily on it. A gentleman called me, said, hey, I'm interested in buying that lot. I told him how big it was. I said, make me an offer. He offered me $10,000 is what he offered me. And I said, you know what? I'll take it. That was a decent deal. I could have charged maybe $120 for it, but I was happy. I made $60,000 in about 3 months. That was a very good deal. And that's what you can do. That's the kind of deals you can make. And even if I didn't have any money at all, I could have borrowed the $20,000, to buy a lot that was worth more. And then I would have a partner, and then instead of making 60, I would have made 30. And that could be you. You'd make 30. Now, I'm not interested in helping anybody finance anything. I just do my own deals. But I'm just trying to show you the possibilities so you know what's out there and you know what can be and what potential is out there.
So that was an amazing deal for me, and I made a lot of money really fast. But is that something that I just lucked into? Yeah, I don't think so. Next up, I'm going to show you a quick clip from my Zoom mentorship because I'm really proud of these guys. So it's really a perfect storm for making money in that respect. But in 1 year, his portfolio has gone from zero to $1.6 million. You would have got 30, 22?
Yeah, I think I got 27, yeah.
27 properties. Yeah, 27 properties. John, you have to buy that. That is a great property.
I just closed on 2 houses yesterday. It's worth $250. I bought that one for $170.
My first millionaire, my first millionaire student. I don't want to screw around. I don't want to play games going back and forth. What is the absolute bottom dollar? And I'll tell you if I'm going to buy it or not. So in this clip, I'm going to tell you how you can spot a lot that you might want to purchase, how to go about purchasing it, and a couple more tips too that you really want to know about if you're going to be flipping vacant lots.
To make it simple right now, let's just talk about flipping lots in like just regular residential areas. So let's start with that. There's one area that I probably flipped over 40 lots, maybe 50, maybe 60. This is in California. And these were small lots, very small. They were roughly, golly, I think they're only about 60, 70 feet by about 110. They were about 7,000 square foot lots, but they were pure gold. Now, not every one of them was buildable, so there's things to look out for. But for now, before I get into all that, basically anywhere you see developed homes, you see houses, right? Stuff that was maybe built in the 70s or 80s or 60s, they just cut them up like a press cutting out brownies, right? That's kind of what they look like, brownies in a tray, okay? There's a street, there's property lines, there's a center line between the two backyards, and that's a lot. right? You look around the properties in your neighborhood. Well, I'd start identifying those properties that, wow, why do they have such a big property? It's because they have a double lot. So you can look up the address, the two addresses, and you'll figure out the lot in between. And you might find out that it's owned by one neighbor or the other, or it may be completely independent of either of them and just a private owner that just owns it, And those are the people you concentrate on. Concentrate, look for those properties. First thing you do, contact the owner. You might have to look up their name and address. You can do that at the appraisal district. There's other resources online that you can look up things by address and find out who the property owner is. Call them up, or send them a letter or whatever. Get that communication going and find out if they want to sell. And you can ask if they want to sell. You can just make them an offer. Some people would rather have an offer. Some people don't know they want to sell. One of the ways I do it is I just contact them. First I'll say, hey, would you be interested in selling? And a lot of times it might be, well, what do you give me for it? Well, I know. I say, well, how about 25? I'm willing to give them 30, but I'll say, how about 25? And maybe they'll take 25, or maybe they say they want 50, or full price, or maybe they want more than it's worth. That happens. But you got to ask. And sometimes they're going to refuse to give you a number, so you got to put it on yourself, and you just offer a little less than you're willing to pay for it. It's that simple, okay? Now, if you can afford to pay all cash for the lot, that's great. If you can't, then say, well, how about $10,000 down or $5,000 down? What I did, I started with very little money. So I would offer $2,000 down to buy a lot for, say, $10,000 that I think's worth $20,000. I might make the deal. So now I got it for $2,000 down, and now I'm making payments on $8,000. Now when I go to resell it, I sell it for $20,000, and I get $10,000 down. And all that does is it gives me my $2,000 back, plus it pays off the $8,000 note. And now I'm carrying a first trust deed, meaning they now owe me $10,000, the remainder of the $20,000 that they bought it from me for. They owe me $10,000, and I take that, maybe finance it over a period of 5 years, $200 a month, or maybe I'll take $100 a month for 10 years, and maybe the interest rate will be 5% or 10%. And if I ever want to sell that note, I can. There's that. Then you can go out in the boondocks where there's more farm and land and larger parcels. Maybe there's still 2.5 acre parcels, and you might see a subdivision where there's like a house every 10 lots. Okay, in other words, there's 10 lots, then a house, 10 lots, then a house. It just never got fully developed. That's also a great opportunity. So yeah, you can hear the rain pouring behind me possibly. But anyways, so now you're watching, you can go that. You go out of town a little bit. Now the advantage of that is the properties are going to be cost a little less. Also, probably more than likely, people will carry a note. They'll finance, owner finance. By the way, I have a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. The details are down below. You can get my book. And so I'll give you some success stories. I bought 70 acres one time. I paid $140,000, $2,000 an acre. I resold it for $520,000, okay? And now there was some real estate fees out of there and stuff. But in the end, I made about, $360,000, $380,000. And a portion of that was in a note. And that note paid me $2,450 a month for many years. That's a lot, right? That's a 70 acre lot. That's a big one, right? But I had all kinds of little properties that I bought in the beginning. I'd buy something for $5,000 to $7,000. I'd sell it for 15. Then I was buying lots for 10 and 10,000 and selling them for 20. And some I'd sell for 25,000. But almost always I carried a note until they go to build on it. And then when they go to build on it, then you get paid off cash because the bank won't be subordinate to a first trust deed. Our note secured by first trust deed. So what they do is the bank insists when they go to loan the builder money to build a house, they want that property paid off. They want to be in the first position if if there's a problem and they have to foreclose on the guy that's building. Yeah, nothing to worry about. You're just turning land. So you want to look at amenities. You want to look at utilities. Is there a water meter? Is there a little flood area? Even in a small subdivision, you might have some kind of weird creek or spring that makes that lot unbuildable. Not likely, but check into it. There's a ton of money to be made in those kind of gems. And like I say, just property, fantastic. Vacant lots are a wonderful way to go for all the reasons I am. Owner financing, you can get away with very little down, and they'll carry the majority of it. A lot of opportunities. People sell cheap. People they sell land cheap. They don't value it at what they sometimes should. And but you let the seller make the first offer, and then you just accept it, or make an offer that makes you feel safe. The rule that I used to follow is pretty much, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can have a 2.5 acre parcel and an 1.25 acre parcel side by side, and they're going to sell for about the same thing. It's just a buildable lot to a builder. And so you don't expect to get double for a 2.5 acre, which you pay for an 1.25 acre. It doesn't work that way. You might get 1.5 times. So if an 1.25 acre is worth 20, you might get 30 for a 2.5 acre parcel. And that's relative to almost everything, 5 and a 10, etc. 1.5 times. You know, you can go through the trouble of subdividing later on, and that's a great way too.
All right, so a couple more things I'll add to that. Easiest money to make on vacant lots are ones that have utilities nearby. So you want to definitely have power. You want to definitely have, water, and you want to have sewer. If you can't have sewer, then you're going to go to septic system, and if you don't have water, then you're going to be drilling a well. And all that still factors in. You can still make plenty of money with those kinds of properties, but just make sure you're looking for those. So please, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please pound that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this out with your friends. I spend a lot of time putting this content out, trying to share it for my family, share it for my kids, share it for my brothers and sisters out there that want to make money in real estate. If you make it your passion, believe me, there's not a better way to make a living. There's not a funner way to make a living and a more profitable way. I don't know anywhere. I don't know how I'd be ever make as much money if it wasn't for real estate.